Wife of 23 years cheats, gets dumped by boyfriend, and now begs me to take her back. My wife of 23 years cheated on me and now she is begging to come back after her boyfriend threw her out like yesterday's trash. I am 50 years old, been married to Amy since I was in my 20s, and I thought we were solid. We got 3 kids together, the oldest is 22, the youngest is about to turn 18. Rachel is 22, Jake is 19, and Ava is 17, almost 18. Thought we had a good life. Thought I knew my wife. Guess I did not know a damn thing. Just a week ago, Amy sat me down at our kitchen table, looking all serious like someone died. I knew something was wrong, but I could never have guessed what was coming. She told me she had been messing around with some guy from her office named Matt. He is 27. I mean, I could be his father. 2 full years she had been sneaking around with this punk behind my back. 2 whole years. And now she was ready to come clean and leave me for him, like it was some romantic comedy and not our actual life. She figured it was the right time since our kids were older now and Ava would be an adult soon. Said she wanted to be honest and move forward. I sat there like someone knocked the wind out of me. I broke down, man. I sobbed like a kid. I was just glad my kids were not home to see me fall apart like that. Would have killed me if they saw me cry like that. Rachel is already out on her own after college, Jake is away at school, and Ava was spending the night at her friend's house, so it was just me and Amy alone in that house, the house I paid for, by the way. I know she waited for that perfect moment to drop this on me. She even tried to rub my back while I was crying, like that would fix it. She said we were stuck in some loveless marriage and she could not waste another minute being miserable. Meanwhile, she was happy enough to live off me for decades while sneaking around with some kid at work. I know it sounds pathetic, but at first, I begged her not to leave. I was desperate, man. My whole life was crumbling and I was just trying to grab onto anything I could. I know that is weak, but that is what I did. I cried for a good 30 minutes straight before I could even catch my breath. Amy kept sitting there, patting my arm like I was some stray dog, telling me I would find someone better someday. She was acting like she was doing me some favor. Like I was just a chapter in her little storybook romance. When I finally stopped crying, something in me just snapped. I stood up, wiped my face, and told her to get out. Just like that. I do not even know where it came from. One minute I was begging her to stay and the next minute I was kicking her out. Even I was surprised. She sure as hell did not see it coming either. She stood there with her mouth open, but she did not say much. Just went upstairs, grabbed a duffel bag she already had packed, which told me she planned this all along, and walked right out the front door. Gave me this awkward little side hug before she left, like we were co-workers or something. I did not even hug her back. I just stood there like a damn statue. After she left, I completely fell apart again. I cried until my chest hurt, and I was still sitting there on the couch when Ava came home later that night. I was wrecked. I did not know how to explain any of it to her, but I had to. My marriage was over and my wife, the woman I loved more than anyone on this planet, had been screwing some office boy for 2 years, like our family meant nothing. And the craziest part, she acted like none of it was a big deal. Like she was doing me a favor by being honest. Like I was the crazy one for crying. My head was spinning for days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him. It was torture. But at least after a week, I was finally able to keep my emotions in check enough to be there for my kids. They needed me to hold it together, so I tried, even if I was dying inside. When Ava came home that night, she saw my face right away. My eyes were red, my face was all puffy. She knew something was wrong. She asked me where her mom was over and over until I finally just told her the truth. It was like saying it out loud made it all real, and I broke down again. I was crying like a baby, but at least this time Ava was there to hug me for real. Not like her mother's little fake pat on the arm. Ava was just as shocked as I was. She had no idea. I was too much of a mess to call anyone, so Ava took charge. She got on the phone, called Rachel and Jake, told them to come home as soon as they could, and even called my brother, Eric. Eric is 45, never married, but he is one of those solid guys you can always count on. When Ava called him, he drove halfway across the state to be here for me. He knew I was falling apart. Eric showed up within hours, walked in, saw my face, and did not even say anything. Just sat down with me. He stayed. Said he was going to move in for a few days until I could at least eat something without crying. It has been a week and Eric is still here. So are all my kids. It is like our house turned into a support group. Everybody just trying to make sense of the whole thing. It still does not feel real. I keep waking up thinking it was all some horrible dream, but then I see the empty spot in bed and it all comes rushing back. I never thought losing her would mess me up this bad, but Eric was right to come. If he had not, I would still be laying in bed, staring at the ceiling. I know it sounds weak, but I am not too proud to say it. I need the help right now. My kids have been amazing, even though they are hurting too, and I am grateful for them. I already talked to a lawyer. Divorce is coming whether I like it or not. At first, I was waiting for Amy to file. I figured she wanted out so bad, she would be the one to pull the trigger. But the days kept passing and nothing happened. Then, late last night, I found out why. My phone rang close to midnight and I saw Amy's name. We had not spoken since she walked out. No texts, no calls, nothing. I almost did not answer, but I was curious. When I picked up, her voice was all shaky and I could tell she had been crying. She asked about the kids and I told her they were all here, and my brother too. I tried not to sound like I cared, even though part of me still did. I hate that I still care. After a little small talk, she just broke down on the phone. I was stunned. She was the one who cheated and left me, so why the hell was she crying? I asked her if she was alright, and that is when she told me the whole story. She left me to be with Matt, but when she showed up at his place with her suitcase, he slammed the brakes on everything. Told her he was not looking for anything serious. Just wanted to have fun. Told her flat out that he was too young to settle down and that a 50-year-old woman with 3 grown kids was not exactly his dream girl. So now, after throwing away our marriage, she had nowhere to go. Turns out that golden boy she threw everything away for was never serious about her in the first place. He straight up told her he was just having a good time and was nowhere near ready to settle down. Said he was still young, wanted to live it up, and the last thing on his mind was shacking up with some woman pushing 50 with grown kids. That was her reality check, and she got it right in the face. Now, I am not going to lie, Amy has held up pretty well for her age, but she is still 50 years old with 3 grown children. That is not exactly the dream situation for a 20-something guy who was out there playing the field. He told her he wants to have kids one day, with someone younger, and build a future with someone who has not already lived one. Basically, he told her she was good enough to mess around with but not good enough to build a life with. So there she was, bawling her eyes out on the phone with me, saying she had nowhere to go and her whole life was ruined. I sat there listening, and you know what? I was not even sorry for her. All I could feel was this cold sense of satisfaction, like life was finally serving up a dish of the karma she earned. She admitted our kids were not talking to her either. They had blocked her on everything, phones, social media, you name it. Not one of them wanted to hear her excuses. She had been holed up in some cheap hotel for a week, afraid to reach out because she figured I would slam the door in her face. Smart guess. And yet, even after all that, she had the nerve to call me and ask if she could come back home. Wanted me to forgive her, wanted me to give her another shot. I could not even believe what I was hearing. The sheer gall of it left me speechless for a second. But the shock wore off fast and all the sadness I had been carrying turned into pure anger, the kind that comes from getting played for a fool for years. I told her flat out there was not a snowball's chance in hell she was coming back here. She had her chance. She threw it away. She did not care about saving our marriage when she was sneaking around with her little office boyfriend, and I was not about to save her now. I told her she deserved everything that was happening to her and that I hoped she finally realized what she had destroyed. I hung up before she could respond, turned off my phone, and went to bed feeling more peace than I had felt in a long time. For once, I was not laying there wondering what I could have done differently. I was just done. It blew my mind that after all the years we were married, she still thought I was the same guy who would bend over backward to make her happy, even after she stomped on our vows. I always chased after her when we fought, always tried to fix things, even when I was not the one who screwed up. She would sulk, I would apologize, and I thought that was love. I see now it was just me trying to hold together something that was already broken. But this? This was my line in the sand. There was no coming back from this. I could forgive plenty, but not this. Not the lying, not the sneaking around, not blowing up our family for some fling. That was the moment I finally knew I loved her way more than she ever loved me. And that was over now. I do not feel bad for telling her to get out or for refusing to take her back. I paid for this house, it is legally mine, and she does not have a leg to stand on if she thinks she can just waltz back in like nothing happened. But that has not stopped her from trying to twist everything around and make me the bad guy. When I turned my phone back on the next day, there were a pile of messages waiting for me, all from her. She went from apologizing to raging, flipping back and forth between begging and accusing. According to her, I was selfish and cruel for not thinking about her feelings. This, coming from the woman who cheated on me for 2 whole years. She even tried to say I turned the kids against her, which is ridiculous since I had no clue they blocked her until she told me herself. They made that decision all on their own. None of this is my fault. Not a damn bit of it. Maybe I sound cold, but after everything she did, I just cannot see how she thinks I owe her anything. She cheated, she left, and when her backup plan dumped her, she came crawling back like I was supposed to be her safety net. I needed to be sure I was not just acting out of pure rage, so I figured I would put it all out there and see what other people thought. Am I really wrong for telling her no? Am I wrong for standing my ground and refusing to let her move back in after everything she did? Update 1: I just want to thank everybody who took the time to comment on my original post. Honestly, if I had not posted, I probably would have let her gaslight me into thinking I was overreacting. She almost had me convinced I was being too harsh. Reading all your responses snapped me out of that fog real quick. I owe you all for helping me see things clearly. I was starting to second guess myself, thinking maybe I should at least talk to her, maybe see if there was some way to work through it. But thanks to everyone here, I realized I was about to make the biggest mistake of my life. There is no going back after what she did, and no way I would ever be able to trust her again. It has been a couple of days since I posted, and she is still texting constantly, begging me to let her come home. 1 minute she is apologizing, saying she made a huge mistake. The next, she is blaming me for ignoring her needs. It is a never-ending roller coaster of guilt trips, manipulation, and fake remorse. She has tried every angle, and none of it is working. She still does not get it. This was not some minor fight or misunderstanding. She blew up our whole marriage. She walked out on me and the kids, and she did it for some loser who did not even want her. And now that her fantasy fell apart, she expects me to put it all back together. Not happening. I am starting to feel like myself again, so I told Rachel and Jake to head back to their regular routines. Ava is still home with me, and she checks in on me every now and then, which I appreciate. But I made sure to tell her not to put her life on hold for me. She is a teenager and deserves to have fun with her friends, not spend all her time babysitting her sad old dad. This is hard on all of us, but I know we will get through it. Ava is heading to college in the fall, so I want her to enjoy these last few months at home. My brother Eric is still staying here, and honestly, I am grateful for him every single day. He is not the emotional type, but just having him around helps more than I can say. He does not even have to say much, just knowing he is there has made this whole thing feel a little less impossible. On the practical side, life has been a bit of a mess without Amy. It sounds dumb, but when someone just disappears, all the little stuff they handle becomes a problem. She always did the laundry because she liked it, so now Eric and I are figuring it out. The kids and I always split the chores, but she handled the cooking and washing clothes. Now it is just us, and we are making do. I know Eric cannot stay forever, but for now, I am damn lucky to have him here. As for the divorce, my lawyer and I already filed. Once I realized Amy was stalling because she hoped I would cave and take her back, I knew I had to pull the trigger myself. She will be served in a day or two, and then the real fun starts. I never thought I would end up divorced, but here we are. It sucks, but at least I know I did everything I could to save my marriage. She is the one who burned it to the ground, not me. She hit me with a whole string of nasty messages after getting those divorce papers, like it was my fault her whole life blew up in her face. According to her, I was the reason everything went sideways, all because I could not handle her having a little fun to distract herself from her dull, miserable life with me. She flat out told me I am almost 50 years old and that I look every bit of it, and apparently, she just needed something new to spice things up. Now, look, I am not out here claiming to be some kind of fitness model. I gave up the gym years ago and, yeah, my hairline is not what it used to be, but that is just life. I have lived, I have raised 3 kids, and time catches up with all of us. It is not like I completely let myself go. I am not overweight, I still take care of myself, and for a man my age, I am doing just fine. But if she expected me to still look like the 20-something guy she married fresh out of college, well, that is just her being completely detached from reality. Unless you were some movie star with nothing to do but work out and get plastic surgery, nobody looks the same at 50 as they did at 20. The part that really blows my mind is how she acts like her running off with Matt was my fault, like I forced her into it by daring to age. If she could not stop herself from jumping into bed with the first younger guy who gave her attention, that is on her, not me. And the fact that she is still trying to spin it like I was the one who destroyed our marriage just shows me how blind I was all those years. Looking back, there were warning signs everywhere, but I was too in love with her to see them. I brushed off the little lies, the cold shoulder, the way she always found a way to make me feel like I was the one who needed to apologize after every argument. Now that she is about to be my ex-wife, it is like someone flipped on the lights and I can finally see her for who she really is. And honestly, it makes me feel like the biggest fool on earth for not seeing it sooner. The worst part, and I hate admitting this, is that some part of me still loves her. After everything she has done, after the lies, the cheating, the manipulation, I cannot flip that switch off completely. That is probably why I have not blocked her yet, even though I know I should. I keep telling myself I will do it tomorrow, but every time, I chicken out. Maybe I am hoping she will say something that finally makes sense, or maybe I am just too worn out to deal with the drama. Either way, I know I need to cut her off, and I hope I can do it soon because I cannot take much more of this back and forth. What she is doing now is not even evil, it is just pitiful. It is like watching someone self-destruct in slow motion, and the fact that she is trying to drag me down with her is almost funny if it was not so damn sad. Anyway, update number 3, turns out Karma showed up right on time and handed her another dose of reality. My daughter Rachel called me earlier today and told me Amy was having some kind of meltdown online. Apparently, she posted a whole rant about Matt, talking about how he led her on for 2 years just to dump her like she was nothing. She actually put her dirty laundry out there for the whole world to see. The kicker is, some other women from her office chimed in on that post, saying Matt had been fooling around with them too. Seems like Matt was not just Amy's boyfriend, he was the whole damn office's boyfriend. When I first found out about him, I hated his guts. Now, I almost want to shake his hand. I did not believe in karma before, but watching her whole fantasy life crumble in public feels like the universe finally got one right. I already blocked her, same with Rachel, but Amy's cousin saw the whole thing and let us know. We have not told most of the family what is going on yet, but I figure Amy did the job for us with that post. I will have to sit down with my side of the family and explain everything soon, but for now, I am just going to sit back and enjoy the show. If anything, Matt deserves some kind of medal for pulling off multiple office affairs at the same time without getting caught for years. It is almost impressive in a sick kind of way. When I first found out Amy cheated with him, I could not see straight, but now, I feel like I owe him a beer. All I know is, this whole mess is the perfect example of what happens when you blow up a perfectly good life for a cheap thrill. At least I am almost done with this nightmare, and soon, I can walk away from it all for good. Update number 4, so it has been a little over a month since this whole circus started, and right now we are stuck in the middle of negotiating the divorce settlement. The strangest thing is, when I look at Amy across the table during these meetings, I feel absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, not even pity. It is like looking at a stranger. Sometimes she smiles at me, like we are still friends or something, but I just avoid her and keep my mouth shut. As far as I know, she is crashing at some friend's place now, and I also found out she lost her job. Probably because of all that drama with Matt blowing up at work. The best part is, because she went and confessed to her affair on social media, I do not even have to fight to prove she cheated. She handed me all the proof I needed on a silver platter. I do not even think I will have to pay her alimony now. My kids still will not speak to her. As far as we are all concerned, she does not exist. Maybe ignoring her is not the healthiest way to handle it, but right now it is the only way I know how to cope. We can figure out the rest later. Emotionally, I am doing a lot better than I was at the start. I still have some bad days, but they are fewer and farther between. I am thinking about starting therapy once the divorce is final, just to make sure I do not drag all this baggage around for the rest of my life. Maybe talking to someone will help me finally close the book on Amy for good.